Here are some awesome ability combos for Final Fantasy XVI that will have you deleting enemies and bosses in no time. We're going to go over the full skill tree, so if you don't want to see that because you want to discover it on your own, then here's a heads up, we're going to show it. We'll also start off with some effective but more basic combos and get progressively more busted and powerful as we go along. So share your powerful combos that you've discovered in the comments, and let's jump into it, starting off with Rising Flame and Heatwave. These are two skills that you basically access at the beginning of the game, and they are both great in their own right, but combining them together is a combo that has you executing Rising Flame to knock enemies up in the air, and then Heatwave to throw them back and knock them back away from you. This then gives you an easy follow-up with Phoenix Shift or anything that you want to do to extend the combo. You can also do this at the end of a stagger gauge multiplier build-up in the early game to deal some really big damage. And next up we have a combination of Ignition and Will o' the Wisps. A lot of people are realizing that Ignition might just be one of the best skills in the game, as it allows you to scoop up a whole group of enemies and do a bunch of damage in one batch. But if you want to do additional damage with this, then you can pair it with Will o' the Wisps, which will add additional ticks as you are charging forward, scooping up enemies. We've also found that if you press the attack button while doing this, enemies will get juggled as well. This allows you to then continue on the combo, and an additional thing you can do at the end of this combo if the enemies are somehow still alive, you can pair it with any AoE attack, which is a great way to clear a whole group of enemies. You scoop them up, you deal loads of damage to them, and then you finish it off with an AoE because now they're all grouped together. Next up we have Wicked Wheel and Upheaval. The Titan skills are actually great damage dealing skills, but they do have a bit of cast time, and some of them have a little mini game where you have to make sure you land it in the correct part of the wheel to deal maximum damage. But did you know that with Upheaval you can actually bypass this by using it in conjunction with the Wicked Wheel ability, or any attack that puts you in the air like Deadly Embrace? The awesome thing about this is that the higher you are when you use Upheaval, the more the damage will scale, which means it can be even better to do this than the ground version. And next up we have Flames of Rebirth and Judgment Bolt. Racking up enough multiplier on a staggered boss to maximize your damage is a very efficient thing to do, and you want to make sure you're always hitting the 1.5 times bonus modifier. This combo might be expensive because both of these abilities cost a lot to unlock, but it's super effective, and it's a way to always ensure you hit that maximum modifier. If you have both Flames of Rebirth and Judgment Bolts upgraded, you can combine them together on a staggered enemy. By using Flames of Rebirth, you will rack up a ton of hits on that enemy, building up that modifier and freezing time for the stagger bar. You can then weave in some attacks or go straight for a Judgment Bolt to deal massive damage. But this next one is probably even stronger. It's Gigaflare and Lightning Rod. Of course, Bahamut is one of the coolest summons in all of the Final Fantasy games. Because of this, we wanted to make use of his abilities as soon as we unlocked them. While skills like Impulse and Satellite are very good, Gigaflare is really where the Eikon shines in terms of which abilities it has. This thing can straight up delete health bars of even the toughest enemies, and when combined with the right skills, it's straight up busted. When an enemy is staggered, if you place a Lightning Rod next to them and then perform a Gigaflare, it will not only proc the Gigaflare's damage, but it will also tick Lightning Rod every single damage tick, creating a chain reaction of 1,000,000 damage numbers. This builds up the stagger multiplier incredibly fast and deals tons of damage, so if you want to hit over 50 or 100k every time you stagger an enemy, this is the combo to use. You can even add additional skills into the mix like Rhyme to add even more ticks of damage. And next is one that you might not have seen before. It's Thunderstorm combined with Rift Slip. This is a much more endgame strategy, but it's good knowledge to have because you may unlock the Rift Slip ability but not fully know what it's for. Rift Slip is actually really cool because it allows you to cancel any animation so you can reset it for another attack, but it also really shines in cancelling abilities as it will then slow down time and reducing cooldown. If you then take this knowledge and apply it to an ability with a long cast time like Thunderstorm, then not only do you benefit from recovering quickly, but you also get the full damage off of the skill that you cancelled and then the slow effect so you can go and attack. So don't sleep on Rift Slip, it's a really cool ability. Next we have a bonus one that's just a very cool interaction between abilities that you're going to want to know about. And for this combo we're going to be using Zantetsuken and Dancing Steel. Dancing Steel can very quickly build up your bar for a high level of Zantetsuken, allowing you to defeat screens of enemies or just to deal a bunch of damage very quickly to a boss. However, there's a very cool interaction with with it where if you stall other abilities that have a slightly delayed effect like Megaflare, the freeze in time that happens when executing Zantetsuken will cause all of the beams from Megaflare to come crashing down at the same time, dealing huge damage. Next, we wanted to show you our current loadout, which of course is based on our personal preference, but do tell us what you're using and what you like down below. To start off with, we're using Phoenix, and we have Flames of Rebirth and Heatwave. Heatwave is a great ability for blocking projectiles and building up massive stagger damage when you do block them. Meanwhile, Flames of Rebirth is an insane screen clearer, a really cool looking ability, and great to use on staggered enemies to build up that multiplier. Next, we use Garuda. We absolutely love the Garuda abilities, and Gouge is being used because it eats through the enemy's will gauge and lets you set up quick staggers on enemies. We also have Lightning Rod here, which is used for the previously mentioned Lightning Rod and Gigaflare combo. This is too powerful not to use, so we have it here. And remember, you can use Garuda's Deadly Embrace to topple enemies at 50% of their stagger bar, which is super useful and powerful. And finally, we have Titan because it's super powerful to be able to block and counter those attacks. But for skills, we are using the Bahamut skill Impulse, which is fantastic for building up stagger and just repeatedly hitting enemies without having to do anything, and also Gigaflare because it's probably one of the most powerful things when combined with Lightning Rod, as we mentioned before. Also, the cooldown on these abilities isn't super long, so they're always up when you get a stagger. So that's the combos that we've been using and trying out, and the skills that we have slotted in. But tell us yours down below and hit a like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and the two videos on screen now we think you'll really enjoy if you did enjoy this one. You don't have to watch them if you don't want to, but if you did like this video, you're probably going to like these ones too. And then tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.